We had located smoke on the island and decided to investigate. Lieutenant Simon sent Officer Wilson and Officer Smith to investigate the disturbance. We had originally thought that an Air Force pilot crashed on the island and the plane must have caused the fire. However, we encountered something much more interesting. The island was on fire when Smith and Wilson arrived. They found a boy running from the rest of the group. He told them that he was running because a boy named Jack was trying to kill him. We located a small group of boys on the island, and due to their tattered clothing and untidy appearance, they seemed to have been standing there for quite some time. When Smith and Wilson began to search the island, they came across a plane that looked as if it had been shot down, and once Wilson began investigating the boys while on the island, he learned that they were all passengers from who miraculously survived the crash. Smith and Wilson also found a body of a boy. He was found by Castle Rock, and he had a fatal head injury. We assumed that the injury was made by a rock that fell on the child and killing him on impact. About 50 feet away from the shore, Smith had found another body. It was a body of another young child. The body was covered in scratches and bite marks and had resembled those of an animal. We are currently investigating how these deaths happened, and hopefully we can learn the whole story about how things got so carried away on the island. What are your names?
He's Eric.
And he's Sam.
And your ages?
We're 9.
How long were you two on the island for?
We don't know, maybe a month.
Or maybe 3 months.
Was there a leader of the group?
Ralph.
We had a swell leader. He looked after the little ones and always cared for our safety and rescue.
He made this neat rule where if someone held the conch shell, then they were allowed to speak.
That a lot whenever we held meetings.
He made everything neat and tidy.
But Jack would always ignore the rule and disrupt people.
And he even let the rescue fire go out.
Yeah, he's a bad kid.
Jack?
He's the bad one, him and that Roger.
They were mean to us, and they poked us with
Jack would
spears.
constantly undermine Ralph and act like he owned the camp.
What role did he play in the camp?
He was the leader of the hunters.
The hunters got food for camp and could hunt as much as they wanted as long as they looked after the signal fire.
He was power hungry.
How was Jack trying to persuade
He
the
said he
group?
would slay the beastie and would make a better leader because Ralph had too many rules.
It was this horrid monster with huge wings.
And giant teeth that could eat someone whole.
We saw it up on the mountain, and it was the scariest thing we've ever seen.
So Jack said he would slay the beast?
Yep, just like the pigs he killed before.
So would you say that Jack was a regular hunter or more than that? As in, maybe he could be described as a
No
savage?
question about that. Whenever the man heard the word pig, he'd act like a wild animal.
But he wasn't always like that. When we first saw him out on the island, he was bossy and rude. But he seemed as though he was civilized enough to not to turn savage. But eventually he turned, and everything got so much worse.
He even caused the signal fire to go out right as the ship was near the island, but he didn't even care if he could have been
Did
rescued.
you ever stoop to their level? Of the savages, I mean.
They tried to get us on their side, but we resisted. Well, tried to. When we were supposed to reveal where Ralph was, we lied and led the tribe away from Ralph.
We even gave food to Ralph when he was hiding.
Because he's our friend. And we knew that if he was able to get away safely, then he would sure come up with a plan to help us.
The second we saw him near the tribe camp, we told him, "You gotta go, it's not safe," because we knew that if Ralph was found, he would be killed. Oh, yeah.
They ended up killing Piggy and Simon.
Well, Piggy was this round kid with specs. He always stayed close to Ralph because Ralph would protect him from Jack.
And Simon was just a normal kid. He helped the little ones get fruit from the trees and helped out around the camp.
During a party with Jack's tribe, Simon came out of the bushes and
I remember someone calling out that there was a beast.
everyone went after Simon. They bit and scratched him and tore him up like he was a piece of paper.
We were all scared and we were sure that he was the beastie. But when we found out what we did, we were ashamed and disgusted.
It acted as though it was an accident and completely ignored the fact that they killed a kid.
They treated it like a game.
No, his death was different.
He was yelling at the tribe to get them to come to their senses, and
They dropped a rock on his head and it crushed the conch.
What's your name?
Roger.
And your age?
I don't know.
How long were you on the island?
How should I know?
Was there a leader in the group?
Yes, it was Ralph.
Was he a good leader?
I guess he built the huts and organized the camp. He was good. He made this neat roll with the conch shell he found. I thought the rules were pretty useless, because how can a shell stop people from talking? But it was useful in the beginning, I guess. It made the kids stop talking, so it was really nice. Overall, Ralph was a pretty decent leader.
What was your role in the camp?
I was a hunter.
A hunter, I see. Who else was a hunter in the group?
Jack and the rest of the choir, except for Simon, who preferred to wander the woods and build huts.
Now I heard from other hunters that you let a fire go out. Is that true?
Yes, it was true. We were too busy hunting to worry about a silly fire.
A fire that could save you?
Yup, I didn't mind being on the island. It was nice there. We had food and clean water available, and we could roam wherever we wanted to, as long as we brought back some grub with
Did the
us.
hunters have a leader of some kind?
Yes, it was Jack.
Did he ever seem hostile or savage?
Of course, but I didn't mind it.
Did you act the same way he did?
I mean, not exactly like him. I just acted the way I did because it felt good. It felt good being on top and being able to control people.
Do you admit into giving into your id?
Id?
Oh, your savage instincts, or in other words, you want for power and the ability to hurt people.
Yes, I did give in, but it felt so nice to see them squirm and run from me. I was no longer the prey. I was doing the hunting, and I'll never forget that feeling of euphoria I got.
I see. We found 2 bodies on the island, one that was floating by the bay and another in the ridge. Do you happen to know what happened?
Murder.
How did they die?
I killed one of them. The other, the whole group killed.
Who did you kill?
Piggy, the one you probably found flattened.
I see. So the other child the whole group killed? What happened exactly?
Well, we were dancing in a hunting circle, and Simon came out of the woods. Someone shouted that there was the beastie, and everyone went after him.
Did you believe in the beast as well?
No,
Then why did you attack Simon?
because I could.
So you don't regret it at all?
Well, Simon was a good-for-nothing coward who might as well have asked to die. The second he walked into the jungle trying to find the beastie, and Piggy was just a pathetic log who couldn't even defend himself if he wanted to. They were useless to the group, so I'm honestly wondering why you would think I'd feel bad for getting rid of a pest problem.
I'd at least think you regret it because that is a natural human response to situations like this.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't regret killing Piggy or helping kill Simon. Hell, I still think of the memory and laugh because of how much Simon screamed and how Piggy's head cracked open like an egg.
So I'm guessing a lot of people were scared of you.
Yes, but I liked it like that. They called me a terror behind my back, and I just laugh. I liked it. I liked the thought of them being terrified that they were going to get eaten whole if they closed their eyes for a second. God, it was so great.
You really enjoy being a savage?
Of course I do. It's the best. I get to sharpen sticks on both ends and plunge them into my enemies. But there are some times that I miss civilization, the distant memory that I've long forgotten. I guess delirious abandonment really changes what is morally wrong and what isn't, huh?
Why do you feel the need to rebel against society so much? Where's the old Roger, the one who knew how to be a part of civilization?
I don't know.
Roger, you mentioned that you sometimes miss civilization, correct? So why try and rejoin society and be a better person? There's no need to be a bigger man anymore. You can come down and become equal with everyone else.
Maybe I could be normal. I could see my mom and pop again and go to school and see my friends. I know I've made mistakes, but maybe I can retone somehow and then finally I can reconnect with civilization.
That's a spirit, Roger.
Just kidding. You should have seen your face. You actually thought I was serious? It was so good. To be honest, civilization is boring. All work, no play, rules and consequences, it's also dull. And order can be in place for so long before carnage takes over. So why not ditch civilization altogether so you don't have to worry about your little orderly empires crumbling?
I see. Thank you for your time. Well, this interview has been quite informative. Thank you for your time. What's your name?
Ralph.
Your age?
12, I think.
How long were you on the island?
I have no idea.
Was there a leader in the group?
Yes, I was the leader.
Interesting. How do you think you did as a leader?
I think I did fairly well, with the help of Piggy and Simon, of course.
So you were fairly close with Simon and Piggy?
Yes, Piggy and I came up with brilliant ideas, and Simon helped me out whenever he could. That was mostly when the conch rule still existed, and we were all in one group.
Conch rule?
Piggy and I found a conch shell when we first explored the island. He was the first person I met there. The conch was used to call meetings, and whoever held the shell during those meetings could speak and were not to be interrupted. It gave us a sense of order and reminded us that we have to respect each other, but I guess people didn't want to stay in order.
May I ask how things got so out of hand?
I'm honestly not sure. One second we were having a grand old time, we had rules, we had the conch, I had my friends. Then in an instant people were killing each other and it all went to hell. It's hard to think about it. The camp originally was running smoothly, for the most part. We encountered a rough patch in the beginning, but that was soon fixed.
What do you mean by rough patch?
Well, people weren't doing their work around the camp, and they let the signal fire go out. God, I was so angry. That fire was our only way of getting someone to notice us on the island. They just let it go out, just to catch some dumb pig.
Who was in charge of the fire?
Jack and his hunters.
And you say that they were more focused on hunting than rescue?
Yes, they said that hunting was more important than keeping the fire lit. The fire that would save all of us, including them. They didn't care if they could have been rescued. They only wanted to play around and act like animals.
So the hunters were not listening to you? Did you give up with following the rules and join them, or did you stay civilized?
I tried to stay civilized, and I used my superego. Instead of celebrating over the pig, I said to Jack, "Look at that, call that a signal fire? That's a cooking fire. Now you'll eat and there'll be no smoke. Don't you understand? There may be a ship out there." I wanted to stand my ground and hopefully get the other hunters to see what they did was wrong, but I guess that wasn't enough to convince them.
Friends.
It was Jack and his hunters. They claimed that Simon was the beastie and killed him. They tore him up and bit him. It was so horrifying. Then they dropped that rock on Piggy's head and they are savages. Utter savages.
Did you believe that the beast was real?
Yes,
Did you become savage as well?
I did. I'll admit it. I enjoyed hunting the pigs as much as everyone else, but I could never imagine actually killing a human as Jack's tribe did.
Were there any signs of hostility before the murders?
Roger would throw small rocks at the children. The children would often complain to me, explain what had happened, but I paid no attention to it. And when Jack got his first kill and let the signal fire go out, he questioned my right to be leader.
What did he say?
He said that he would make a better leader than me, just because he knew how to sing and hunt. Then he called me a coward and claimed I never went with him to see the beastie.
So you saw the beastie?
Yes, it was terrifying. It looked so abnormal, and I thought for sure it was going to kill us.
He lied to the group?
Yes, he lied to them in order to get them on his side. They needed to follow a strong leader that could kill the beastie, and Jack made sure that everyone knew that he met that criteria, even if that was a lie.
I see. So he was determined to take over, wasn't he?
Yes, and in the end, that's what he got. Complete and utter control of the island. But I wonder if he realizes how many burns he has because of that.
Burns?
Burns and scars from those he killed and tortured to get to this point. Burns that show his true nature as a thief, a liar, and a bloody savage.
Would you say that you have burns as well from things that you have done?
Yes, although they are mild, they will stay with me, and they will stay with everyone in the group. We will all remember our time on that island and all the crimes we committed.
See. Thank you for your time, Ralph. What is your name?
Jack Meredith.
And your age?
I'm not really sure. I think 12.
How long were you on the island?
I'm not quite sure, ma'am.
Was there a leader in the group?
Yes, and that was me. Everything was going so smoothly until Ralph ruined everything.
How exactly did things get so out of hand?
As I said before, it was all Ralph. He stole food and threatened everyone in the camp. He wanted to kill, and he brainwashed the children to run with him.
Did you happen to join in with them?
Unfortunately, yes. But not because I was brainwashed, because I was scared. Ralph had already killed Piggy because he spoke out against him, and I didn't want that same fate.
So what did you do?
I went with them and watched them kill poor Simon. God, poor Simon. He was such an embodiment of innocence and pureness.
I see. May I ask you something?
Ask me anything.
Did you turn savage, Jack?
Of course not.
Did you kill anybody, Jack?
I didn't kill anybody.
Do you recognize this knife?
No, I
What did
don't.
you use this knife for, Jack?
I used it to carve sticks for the hunters.
What did you use this knife for, Jack?
I used it to...
Yes?
Kill the beast, cut his throat, spill the blood.
I see. Well, this has been quite informative. Thank you for your time.
No, wait, stop, that wasn't me. You have to understand, I'm not a savage.
Of course you aren't.
Stop, you don't understand.
What don't I understand? I understand it perfectly. You were a liar who killed a man.
No, I didn't. That was Roger. It's not like I told him to. Roger dropped the rock. I admit, I might have spared on the hunting circle that killed Simon, but that doesn't make me a murderer. I had no intention to spill in blood.
Why were you a hunter?
I wasn't a hunter.
Oh, so why do I have 3 witnesses that say you weren't the leader?
I was the,
Jack, I need you to be honest.
Fine, I was the hunter, and I caused it. I killed Simon. But I never expected to kill Piggy. I did call for violence, though. That I'll admit.
You caused Simon's death?
Yes, but I thought he was the beast.
And who did you tell your group to kill?
Ralph.
Why?
I don't know.
Jack, I need you to be honest.
Fine, I hated him. He was chosen as leader, not me. Why not me? I'm better than him in every possible way, so why did they choose him? He made stupid rules about that conch and treated it like royalty. He was a complete loon. Then there was the fire, that idiotic fire that never could have saved us.
Then how did we find you?
With the fire, that's besides the point. If that damned group picked me instead of him, it all would have been different.
Craved power and never got it. You took it by force.
No, that position was rightfully mine.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was mine, and only mine. The group clearly chose wrong. If I were the leader, we would have been in that mess. No one would have died.
Then why did people die when you and your tribe took control of the group?
Those don't matter. The deaths are simply casualties of war. They were useless to the group anyways.
Jack,
What?
you see why the group chose him over you?
You know what? I'm done with this interview. I don't feel like being insulted by a 2-bit Navy psychiatrist.
Final report. The boys all showed that they were fairly willing to conduct the interviews with me, which was quite helpful, and I learned quite a bit about these boys. The boys who I interviewed were Jack, Ralph, Roger, Sam, and Eric. They all appeared to be shaken up and I bet traumatized, but they still provided me with some interesting information. We still do not know how long these boys were stranded for, but this experience has certainly changed all of them, for the better or worse. From the most I can see, that these young boys turned to savagery on this island, and this is what caused the deaths of 2 young boys we found. But again, some of these boys were changed in a good way. I'll start with the 2 boys I interviewed first, Sam and Eric. These 2 young lads were quite easy to socialize with, so I was able to extract some useful knowledge from them. From what I learned and observed, these 2 young boys were not savages. They wanted to go home and get rescued. They even went as far as risk their own lives in order to save their friend. That friend was a young boy named Ralph. Ralph was another child I interviewed. He was the leader of the small group of boys. He gave a bit more insight of how things got so carried away. There were hunters in the group that were led by a boy named Jack. Jack would call Ralph a coward and questions his right to lead the group. This outbreak inspired more people to rebel and eventually leave Ralph and join Jack's tribe. Ralph himself did admit to turning savage, but even if he did turn savage, he was still able to find that civilized part of himself and was able to admit it and felt regret for what he has done. Ralph was even determined to keep a rescue fire even after he was being bothered by Jack. He was still determined to get back to civilization as well as Sam and Eric were. The other 2 boys I interviewed did not show that same level of determination. Jack, the mentioned boy who rebelled against Ralph, was someone who showed me this. I initially thought that he was a good kid, but my opinion quickly changed after the interview went on. Jack originally tried to deny the fact that he had turned savage and even decided to lie during the interview. As the conversation continued, I saw through his lies. Jack revealed to me how power-hungry he was and just how bloodthirsty as well. However, he wasn't as bloodthirsty as Roger. Roger was another child I interviewed, and I was able to get some very interesting information as well. He would speak of the murders freely with no gut in his voice, and honestly it was quite unsettling. Roger seemed as if he enjoyed watching others suffer. He enjoyed the fact that he was a savage, as though he had been a savage his whole life. Roger also mentioned how civilization was boring, and he was very too orderly, and I believe this is why Jack and Roger turned to savage. They saw only rules and restrictions on what they found as fun and entertaining. In civilization, Jack could only get to certain rank and stay there due to the rules. Without rules, he could be the leader. Overall, these kids are very interesting and scary in a way. I assume that Roger and Jack will be delivered to the authorities. I am unaware if he will be charged as adults or not, but they will most likely not be allowed in public until they somehow convert back to their previous way of thinking. For Sam and Eric, I believe that they will be introduced to a trauma treatment program where they can hopefully find a way to get past what has happened to them. As for Roger, he may get put in a trauma treatment program, but if that isn't enough for him, then most likely sent to a mental hospital where he can stay and redirect himself.